Hey everyone, my name is Cole. I'm here with Pastor Michael Bethany having a conversation, just low key. We just got a giant piano sitting on a coffee table because why not? Having a conversation today about vocal approach. Michael, you are an incredible vocalist, versatile in many different situations and settings and all of that. First of all, you're just a gift to our house here, and you're a gift to me here in this moment as well. So thank you for being here.
You're too
Thank you for
kind.
making the time.
You're too kind.
What's going on? Let's talk about vocals.
Let's do it. Let's go.
So, vocals, first question, when did you grow up in a musical family? Kind of what brought out this gift in you? When did you kind of recognize, like, I'm pretty good at this?
I was baptized. My family, totally immersed me in music. My father, musician, singer. My mother was an artist, songwriter, recording artist. They produced an album while I was a baby.
Amazing.
So I just literally born into the rehearsal room with the whole band playing.
Man.
So that was my life. My father was a pastor, so grew up in church. All my brothers played instruments. I led worship. I sung in the choir.
That's the dream.
So it was just life for us. So
that's beautiful. Was there a moment? Was there like an experience where like, okay, I want to be in this. It's not just part of growing up in it, but it's like you kind of chose it for yourself.
I think like the first moment when I realized this was something was my brother had learned to play a song, and he wanted to play it during our parents' church anniversary. So the anniversary was like over a matter of days. It was like a revival. The last night, my brother asked, "Hey, can I play this song?" And I want my little brother Michael and our cousins to sing with me. And they were like, "Okay, we have time. At the end of the service, we'll let you guys perform this song." And they did. And they were like, "Okay, Michael, you lead it." My mom will lead the song. I was like, "Michael, you're gonna lead the song because someone's gotta lead it." And I led this song. I didn't even know that I could do that.
And how old were you?
I was like, I don't know, 8,
Amazing.
9 or something, So, and that was like, after that day, my mom was like, "Okay, you're in the adult choir." I was it's like I went from running around playing with Transformers, to I'm with the adults.
That's amazing.
So that was the beginning. And from there on, it was just a part of life. It was like school, church, singing, recording.
Yeah.
It's just what we do.
I love it.
It's just fun.
That's amazing. So being a worship leader, you kind of operate in different contexts. I was just watching this incredible NPR Tiny Desk with Kirk Franklin. You're singing BGVs. You do a lot of BGV work, leading as well. How do you approach preparing for a weekend service? If you're the worship leader, how do you kind of look at the song list and decide what are you going to do? How are you going to approach these things vocally?
From a vocal standpoint, I kind of naturally do think artistically. Like our voices are instruments, and because of the context that I grew up in, there were so many intricacies of like doing this and sounding like this, and then I like all these different types of music, so I'm emulating this, and I learned through copycat. So you copy this and you copy that. So years and years of doing this, you have all these sounds. So it's like a producer sitting down to create music. Like you're trying to figure out like what patch do I want, what tone do I want on my guitar, like what I want to do. So I'm thinking vocally, this song, like what, I'm thinking like that. So if it's Open the Heavens, it kind of feels like a pop song to me.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
That sounds all right.
It feels like a pop song to me. But if it's Let the Heavens Open, then that's like more of a congregational open, like raw moment. And so I'm going to be more open there. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking through what sound. I'm also thinking about the music, what complements the composition.
You're not just singing the song. You're trying to serve the song in the best way.
Yeah, like I'm thinking about like you're an amazing guitar player.
Thank you.
Right? And so I can see you back there going through, your different sounds, and you're trying to figure out what tone's going to best serve the song. And I'm mentally doing that exercise in my head. You know what I mean? Like, do I want to sing soft? Do I want to sing loud? Do I want to kill my vibrato on this? Or do I want to let it fly?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking of all those things. Do I want it to sound smooth? Do I want to pull back my gospel tone and lean into do I want to do that? Or do I want to be like, which one do I want?
See, and most people wouldn't even like be able to articulate the difference, but you feel the difference.
Oh, you definitely
Yeah.
feel the difference. So I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about the room, the people in the room, like what's
Yeah.
going to connect. So and it's almost like driving because you do it so much that you're not. These decisions can be made in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, and it's less of a conscious cognitive choice as
Yeah.
much as it's just kind of how you've learned to process.
Right.
now.
It's really like processing speed.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting at home thinking, open the heavens, okay, pop. Like I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
It's intuitive.
And that comes over years and years of taking time,
Very
I
true.
imagine.
Very true.
I love the way that you talk about using your voice as an instrument, and like how I play guitar and like a pedal board, you have all of these different effects and different things you can add to it. We were in a service, I was with my wife and you were leading, and my wife leaned over to me, she's like, I love the way that Michael has like kind of this natural compression that he'll add to his voice. And I never would have thought of it that way, but as soon as I did, I can't unhear it, to where I can see moments where you will articulate a specific note and it could be the same vowel sound or whatever as in another section, but there's a very different approach to that specific one. I love that you play your vocal cords like an instrument. It's not just this is how I sound all the time, but you think very intentionally each time. I think that's really amazing.
Yeah, but now I think everyone should think of their voice as an instrument and
Yeah.
experiment and figure out what you can do. But it just comes so natural for me because here's the thing about gospel music. Like growing up in gospel music, it's not really a genre.
Yeah.
Gospel music has like a lot of genres under one banner of the genre. So if you sing gospel music, you're probably singing multiple genres. So it doesn't always work out this way, but it does in many instances. Like it's not just gospel, it's soul, it's all the different things that you do find that leak out into pop music. It leaks out in all these different expressions. It leaks out into country, it leaks out into rock, all this stuff kind of seeps out into the music. And so if you come from that, then you're gonna probably tend to be more intricate, more detailed, more versatile because you're forced to do it because the genre keeps demanding you to do this.
Yeah.
And so you get into this space and it's hard for me not to think about that. Like it's hard for me not to think like I have to pick a sound. You know what I mean? But that's the fun part about music. I think one of the things that we don't talk about enough is the colors and the artistry, the artistic approach to music. Everyone's like, oh, it's the anointing, it's the presence of God. Yes, but God made the instrument.
Yeah.
So the sound that instrument makes is a sound that God created.
Yeah.
God creates art, God creates color.
Yeah.
And for us to pretend like none of that matters, just the glory is like the glory is a color. Like,
Yes.
like when you experience it, you are experiencing a sound, you are experiencing a vision. You can see it, you can taste it, you can feel it. And so it is important to consider the artistry of it. That is not a bad word. That's God's expression.
Love it.
And so giving that all to him and not always being perfectionistic about it, but being very intentional about it.
Yeah.
So that you own the stewardship of the gifting and the ability that God's originated. It's his. I give it back to him and hopefully I return it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
In a greater measure.
Better than it was given.
Yeah.
Man, that's so good. I love that so much. Talking about, you mentioned influences, kind of things that kind of shaped you, or even as you're learning kind of what your artistic sound is, what your voice, the voice that God put within you, that he wants to be glorified through, listening to other artists and kind of emulating them. A question I would have for somebody that is on a team, on a worship team, either at Gateway or somewhere else that is wanting to find their voice, how would you encourage them to, first of all, who would you say are your influences that you learn from? But two, how do you emulate someone while not just impersonating them? How do you kind of analyze what is their thing, and then how do I implement a little piece of this here and a little piece of this person here?
So good. So I think it's okay to copy.
You heard it here. It's okay. It's okay.
Because it's how you learn. It's how a child learns by doing what their mom or dad says. And the more of that that happens, that child starts to understand not only what they're saying, but it starts to understand, the context. Once a child starts to understand the context, you'll notice the child starts using that same word in different ways. Now they're not copying anymore.
Yeah.
They're expressing themselves.
They're using it.
They're using it. Music, everything is the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, so if you're learning to sing, copy, listen, replicate. And as the more of that you absorb from it, then the more of that you'll be able to manipulate. You'll be able to, I understand. There are certain singers that I've listened to over the years, and I would do that so much until it got in me. And then when I wasn't trying, the theory of what they were doing has become ingrained in me.
It becomes almost the muscle memory.
It's become muscle.
Yeah.
So now I can use it in all kind of applications. So it starts, I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's how I would learn. So when I was a kid, whether it would be, Stevie Wonder song, or if it were a Michael W. Smith song. Like I'm listening to Michael W. Smith, I'm like, man, there's no vibrato in this.
Very, very straight, pure male vocal.
Pure. So, but for me, it's like, that's cool, because I'd be in the studio session and they'd be like, hey, can you kill your vibrato on this line?
We'll tap into that Michael W.
Right, exactly. So I'm thinking of what sound, or if we're writing a song, I'm thinking, who does it sound like? So I can at least get in the space.
Yeah.
And I know, based on that artist, I know the vibrato is going to be not there. It's going to be a breathy tone. It's going to be a little so. It's going to be low. It's not going to be really high. I can relax.
Yeah.
I know I'm not gonna lose my voice after this, or I better prepare because this is really high.
Yeah.
So I know how to prepare based on that. But that's really just learning from people.
Yeah.
And absorbing what they're doing. And that's fine, because what intuitively happens, nobody remains a copy. You know, you start there, but that's like a childlike thing. You started as a kid. No one stays there.
Yeah.
So that's how I learned. I would encourage, listen to things that you can do. Like when you start copying, don't try to mimic something that's so far outside of your ability. Try to find something that's in your range.
Accessible.
Something that's in your space. If your voice, some people have very unique tones. So that means you're going to have to find people with similar tones. It's kind of like a left-handed basketball player. It's not going to study a right-handed. You got to find, who are the left-handed, centers in the league? I want to watch those guys because they're going to show me how to use my left hand.
Yeah.
So whatever your, attributes are, you want to find people close to that and emulate that until you grow into your own.
Man, I'm nodding my head like I understand all the sports references, and honestly, they kind of went over my head like every pass that was ever passed to me in sports. So.
Well, I did say league, and I was talking about basketball, and that's not quite right.
So talking about preparation, and so much of what you're talking about is you spent years kind of growing and kind of soaking all of this in that has now, you're not thinking through all of these things in the moment. It kind of just happens. And so you have a way also of ad-libs, vocal runs, things like that, where I know that it is very thought through and intentional, but even in an ad-lib being kind of like an in-the-moment spontaneous thing, it's also drawing from kind of the well of how much you've prepared beforehand.
Very, very true.
How do you, if you have a set list in front of you, if you have a song and you're thinking through the different sections, how do you kind of process through maybe something here, maybe this here, kind of what does it look like?
The ad-libs is something that you practice over time so much. It's almost like cooking, and it's that extra thing you throw on that. It's like, I didn't think about it. I just know I have a good profile. I know my profiles.
Yes.
So I know that's going to work.
You know the recipe already.
So here's the thing. You have to understand basically the foundation has to be right. So a recipe, if the recipe is right and you decide to throw something on it, you got to really be really good with profiles. So the recipe, the basic of a song is the melody. What is your range? The words, even if you're going to draw on ad-libs, what is the song saying? Now, what else you're going to throw in that's going to be on, if you're a Cajun guy, then your little splash is going to be spice.
Yeah.
Or if that's not what you are, whatever that is, that's what you're going to. So I have my set of go-to spices.
If you had to choose a spice from the spice drawer, what would be your spice, Michael Bethany?
So that
tarragon.
You're going to, what? It's sometimes it's just hot sauce. Sometimes it's Louisiana. You see what I'm saying? So it depends on what it is, because I'm still picking per the song. So if I do a certain song, I'm going to try to pick something a little more refined.
Something that complements
the
dish.
If I get into something that's just like a punch is hot sauce. You know what I mean? It's like I want to bring the heat.
Yes.
So I'm choosing because, like I said, I'm very picky based on what I'm feeling, like what the song is, what the vibe is, what the genre might be. So I'm going to try to pick something I think works. And I think that might be what your wife's talking about.
Yeah.
Like, why'd you sing it that way? Sometimes, like I've done demos and I played it for my friends, and they're like, "Who is that?" Or I've cut something for Daystar, like on the hymns record, and I sung the vocal on there, and I didn't do any of my normal things, and I was very straight, and and my friend was like, "Who is that?" Like, I was like, "It's me." He's like, "I thought that was a white guy." It's like,
but your ability to manipulate your voice to suit whatever environment you're in.
Nah, for real, like
that's amazing.
No, because here's the thing, that's my unique ability.
Yeah.
On things to say, I don't have to sound like the organic gospel that I come from, but that's not everyone's ability. It's a unique ability that should be stewarded. But then sometimes, I can be very much that. Like, Men's Summit recently, the set list that was chosen for that, I was asked, "Hey, could you make this gospel? We want to experience more of that here in this space."
Yes.
So then my role was then to create a worship experience that was relevant to the ethnic culture and the diversity in the room, but also that would take us on a journey that has a certain bent to it.
Yeah.
So in the middle of the set is an old school hymn that a lot of churches know, but the way I would sing it came from where I grew up.
Man.
Right? And so so in that moment I was like Pentecostal, Baptist, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But then right after that moment, we're in Champion. I'm not as much as that, you know what I mean? So, but that's the fun and the artistry that we talked about, like drawing on all those different things. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
No, it's beautiful. I think it's great. So kind of last thing, what would be someone who is a vocalist at their church and maybe they're frustrated, maybe they feel like they've reached a plateau or they want to be able to sing this specific song or do this specific run, what would be your encouragement for that person that feels a little bit stuck practically, but also just spiritually? What would be your encouragement to someone like that?
So let me try to encourage the person that you're describing. The first thing I'll say is, in the gateway space, you might look at me leading and think, "Oh, that's another thing." But the reality, the principles that I'm using in the way, it's like if you take a spice rack, you can make all kind of dishes. Some people, you'll make a casserole, I might be making fried chicken. You can make banana pudding and you can make a souffle. Cinnamon. So
I mean, apparently there might be like a fake cinnamon I've heard about.
You have different levels, right? There's levels to this. But my point is to say, it's not like from a theory standpoint, there's not different music theories.
Yeah.
A 4 is a 4.
Yeah, we're all building on the same
F's
foundation.
and F's, and C is a C. I got the same C you've got.
Yeah.
Right? So from that standpoint, I think what I'm drawing on is, for one, the intimacy between me and God. Mm-hmm. So that's the authenticity behind it. Like, it's not like I am forcing or trying to create a chorus, these moments. These are authentic moments between. It's not even what I'm singing. Sometimes it's what I'm saying. If you don't have a revelation for the moment, I don't care what your ad lib is. It's worthless.
Yeah.
An ad lib has to come out of an authentic encounter and revelation of what either God is expressing or what you've truly experienced.
Man.
So if you've truly experienced God's goodness in this area, you're gonna pour out of that well. That's what. And if God is speaking, then you're gonna speak from that well.
Yeah.
So that's really the foundation. So the first question becomes, where are you in your relationship with God? Because your testimony and your expression can only be as powerful as your relationship is.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
The second thing is, of course, do you practice? If you only sing on the weekends or preparing for worship, you're not really a singer. You know what singers do? They sing.
What?
Singers sing. Singers listen to singing. So, and it's like, preachers always love good preaching. Whether they're getting ready to preach, just preached, ain't gonna preach, might preach. if you're a preacher, you love good preaching.
Yeah.
You know, so if you want to sing, you gotta absorb all of this.
Yeah.
Because the more of that you absorb, and then the more you sing and express, then the more likely that's just gonna come out. It's not like, I mean, you can take time and say, oh, you can do it. But if you take it in, it's all like you ever listen to a song and you don't have time to play it and you just listen to it and take it in.
Yep.
Whatever you're listening to, you will intuitively express.
Yep.
So if you want to ad-lib, listen to Maverick City. Just listen to the stuff.
Naomi Rain.
Every
time.
Listen to Naomi Rain.
Oh my gosh.
It will inspire you. Here's something about ad-libbing. Don't be cerebral and just say stuff you think people want you to say.
That's good. That's
don't
very
do that.
good.
Like,
don't do what you think
say what's real. Like, do what's in the moment.
Yeah.
And be willing to take a little bit of a risk or leap.
Yes.
Because saying the expected is probably unnecessary. But the Holy Spirit, many times what makes the word so powerful is because he says what you did not expect.
Yep.
It hits the ear differently. It's fresh, it's anointed, it's powerful, but it's unique in the moment. And so as you're worshiping, it's more about what you're doing outside of the worship space that's going to naturally come into that space. Now, those are principles that you can use regardless of what dish you decide to make. No matter what the style is, the genre is, the flavor is, it works everywhere.
Yeah.
And so that's essentially what I'm doing. Now, I will say this: as I'm planning a set list, I'm thinking through certain moments, and because I have so much experience, I can already start to experience at a time this moment. Like I'm planning this weekend, and goodness of God is in my heart.
Yeah.
That's I can't get it out of my heart. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. And I feel an intimate expression in my heart. So I can already kind of sense where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
So I can start to set up music, like the set around it to accommodate not only the song choice, but what I'm sensing in my spirit. Right?
That's so good.
So now I'm preparing like that. So it's not going to be odd in the moment if something that sounds like what I'm saying leaks out.
Yeah.
And that'll come through my ad-lib, it'll come through my, choice, whatever, even my tone and my volume and all that stuff.
What's so beautiful about that is the preparation. The Holy Spirit's already there in that moment.
That's right.
This coming weekend, he's already
I'm
there
catching
in
up.
that moment.
Yes.
So he's giving you a glimpse into like, hey, here's what to be expecting.
Exactly.
I love that. That's amazing.
That's
Michael, thank you so much. So encouraging, so insightful. I hope you were encouraged. See you next time.